In today's episode, think of what the customer wants? Sure. This one is hilarious to all musicians. Read your contracts and pay up or else. XD. Thieving manager tries to frame me for their theft. It doesn't go well for them. So let's get started. Think of what the customer wants? Sure. I can't believe I am writing this, but here we go. We got a 2-for-1 special on malicious compliance today. I work at a print hub, working the printers and adjusting files and such. I put in a lot of work to deliver a perfect product, despite the issues that plague the shop, and always ensure that everything I produce is quality checked. This isn't due to me putting pride in my work, however, but rather my boss nitpicks nearly everything. If something is off-center by a millimeter, it's redone. If there is a small scratch on one poster in a pack of 5, the whole order is redone. Now, don't get me wrong, the boss is a good person, not a Karen or anything, but sometimes we have to redo orders several times to ensure it is done to her expectations, which is absolutely fair. She is the boss and it's not too often she does this. Anyways, on to the incident. I just learned that I am supposed to run a one-shot D&D session this weekend. Short notice, have maps and everything to set up. It's a long story why this is last minute, but doesn't pertain to the story. As a result, I quickly picked out one of the dungeons I ran in my regular Dungeons and Dragons group, a galleon ship trapped in time, where the players need to manipulate the environment to have the crew open or close doors, and turned it into a one-shot adventure. I call it the time between the seconds. Since it was last minute, I didn't really have time to optimize maps, so I just sent the order through my job's online submission, with the intention to just print out a pixelated mess just for the sake of having visuals. It's the way I DM. I like having visuals for my players to help them envision the area. Today when I came in, I found the order I submitted and completed it quickly. Admittedly, it was a bit of a mess, and it didn't help that our color machine started leaking toner again. Blue streaks on the paper and everything. Whatever, I am fine with it. An hour later, while I was working with posters, my manager, let's call her Kay, came into the room. She started. Kay, holding up my order, what is this? Me, oh, that's my job. I was. Kay interrupting, how can you say this is good? It's pixelated, and the machine dumped toner on it. Me, Kay, it's okay. I am. Kay interrupting again, it's not okay, you have to contact the customer and figure out how they want to proceed. Me sarcastically, trust me, I'm sure the customer won't mind. Look at the customer name. Kay, it doesn't matter, I want you to see how they want to proceed. Think about what they want. Me sigh, yes Kay. Kay dropped the order in front of me, and left the room. I considered my options for a moment, and looked towards my dwindling workload. Screw it. Malicious compliance number 1. I finished my assigned work and got to work on the maps. As I said, I didn't properly optimize them or anything, so I started working through the 511x17 maps I had, smoothing out the pixels. It took about an hour to get everything set up. Normally I work on a program other than Photoshop for my maps. After that I went through the character sheets, filling in any of the blanks I left in, such as personality, bonds, and gold. About 15 minutes. Then what about any random gear they may have? A big part of this one shot is their carrying weight, so I calculate those totals up. Another 20 minutes. About an hour and a half later I have the files up to the customer's standards, which is mine, and I print them out again. But the toner dumping on the color printer is still an issue. So even though the files looked a lot better, there were still blue streaks in the paper. So when Kay saw it. Kay holding the completed order, Cole, what are you doing? You know the color machine is down. Me, I know, but I can't wait for the machine to be fixed. Kay considers for a moment before speaking, call the customer and explain the issue. See if they will accept it half off. Me, that isn't needed cause. Kay, just do it. Me taking a deep breath, stay here please. Malicious compliance number 2. I picked up the office phone, looked her dead in the eyes, and dialed the number on the order form. From my pocket, the Silver Samurai theme from Phoenix Wright series began to chime. I take my phone out of my pocket and answer, immediately saying yes, I will take half off my order. Kay was speechless and just quietly walked out the door. To her credit, she did honor the half off she offered the customer, but perhaps next time she will actually let me finish what I am trying to say instead of constantly cutting me off. Don't get me wrong, Kay is a good person, but today was a harsh day on everyone since our machines are having issues. The only one who was able to get anything done was me, since my printers, the wide format, and the drafting machines were working properly. I am sure tomorrow we will have a laugh over the situation, as the machines are fixed now and stress levels have lowered. Edit. Okay, a lot of people, and I mean a lot, have been messaging me about not the story itself, but the one shot. Okay guys, I am no Matt Mercer or anything, but I have a creative mind, so I'll share a little more. Essentially, the ship was involved in a massive catastrophe that affected large portions of my homebrew world palette. Magical nukes decimated regions in various ways, such as destroying fauna, destroying and preventing any flora from blooming ever again, the withers, just outright explosions, and in one region's case, trapped in an endless time loop, doomed to repeat the same month over and over again. The ship was stuck in this time bubble at the time of Ultima, and as such it too is stuck in an endless loop. The party won't be able to interact with basic things like doors and portholes because that would directly affect the time loop, but anything the party does can still affect the crew in general. Essentially, by interacting with things the crew is not interacting with, they can convince them the ship is haunted or similar circumstances, and get the crew to open the doors instead. The ultimate goal of the one-shot is to end the time loop. To do that, the players have to figure out they need to sink the ship, so that it never gets to the region where the time loop happened in the first place. This will save the crew of the ship. Second edit. What? Guys, this is malicious compliance, not the D&D subreddit. I'm flattered my one sounds that compelling that people are actually messaging me to get a hold of it. But seriously, do you guys have questions about the malicious compliance? Yes, I wrote the one-shot myself. It was a 3-session dungeon in my actual campaign I run. They had to repeat the same dungeon over and over again, until they figured out a proper system to get the boat to sink. Each loop the CR of the aberration/wraiths went up by 1, but they could only take a short rest during the entire experience at the end of each loop. The one-shot will only be one loop though, focused on the core mechanic I created for the dungeon. No, I am not giving it away for now. My notes are a mess that my ADHD mind can comprehend, but others likely can't. This one is hilarious to all musicians. Read your contracts and pay up or else. XD. I work in music production. I charge $125 per HR to edit/mix/master recordings from bands, which is about 1/2 the average rate. I had a band come to me, I mixed their album, it took me 10 hours. 10 x 125 equals $1,250. Well, at the end, they said, and I'm not even joking, but this is so ridiculous. Well, an hour only has 60 minutes in it, not 100, so your math is wrong and unfair. I was stunned because how can people in their 30s be this uneducated? I said it doesn't matter how many minutes are in an hour, I charge by the hour, and you agreed to it. They had signed a contract. Well, they left and refused to pay. This was their debut album/EP, and little did they know, because they didn't read the damn contract, that I saved backups of all the work I did, and there was a clause that says my studio retains ownership of 100% of the music that I work on until I am paid and sign the rights back off to the band. Again, this is very boilerplate contract stuff in music industry. They had planned on selling their CD at concerts for $20 each. I released their music free online, every site I could find, and I also knew the venues they were playing at, so I made 1,500 CDs. It cost me like $200, but worth it for Spittalall, and every gig they had, I would set up a booth with their CDs just outside of the property line of the venue, and give their CDs away for free, acting like an agent of the band. One thing they also never planned on, I made the vocals on the CDs off-pitch with autotune. I love Absolutely Legal Revenge. The band broke up about 6 months later, after people stopped going to see them. I love Absolutely Legal Revenge, smiley face. Me and my 2 friends who helped me had a hell of a laugh. Like, we were giddy all the time while this was going on. It was great. Pay up or get F***ked. Thieving manager tries to frame me for their theft, it doesn't go well for them. I'm a long-time peruser of this subreddit, but have never posted this story, because every time I think to, I am busy or on my mobile. It's a longish story, so I always put it off, but I have the time now. Teal deer at the bottom. Parties involved. Party. Name used. Store manager, M.O. Thieving assistant manager, J. Lead assistant manager, BBF with SM, Travis. This story happened around 6 years ago, when I worked for a retail company. I will call no op. Jay was well known to be a thief by the base staff and some of the lower levels of management. Unfortunately, she was a golden girl to M.O. and Travis, and we never had any solid proof. We also didn't get paid, docked, etc., unless it was over a certain amount, which it never was, so staff never had a real incentive to try and find proof. One of Jay's favorite things to steal were vouchers for money off products or shopping, because you were just supposed to rip them up and put them in the safe. There was no official way of counting these to return them to the company, so she could use them again in a different store and get away with it. This particular day was Halloween, and I was on till 4, the only till with no cameras on it. M.O. came up and paid for her shopping with some gift vouchers she had received at a store manager's meeting. Because the store was doing really well, I served her, and no one else touched my till all day because I was the main person on the tills for this shift. We closed up for the night and Jay took the registers to be cashed up. I went out to the pub with friends and had a good night, not knowing what was coming. The next shift I'm on, M.O. calls me into the office and tells me that the vouchers she used were not in the safe and she knew that it was my till. She wanted me to return the vouchers and would not press charges or put anything on my file if I just returned them immediately. I of course did not have them and testified as such, but she didn't believe me. I went looking everywhere, the bin under till 4, and the bins outside, under the tills and on the floors around the tills, just in case I had dropped them or put them somewhere dumb while trying to sort out cash, etc. Roughly an hour later Jay comes in, hears what's going on and offers to look as well. She finds them in 30 seconds flat, somewhere I had already looked. I essentially hissed out, what a coincidence, that as soon as Jay looks there she finds it immediately. How coincidental, seething with white fury as I knew she was now framing me for her own theft. She could have found them in the office and made it a simple mistake, but no, she made me the fall guy for her own idiocy. I tried to plead my case to M.O. and Travis, stating that I wouldn't be dumb enough to steal vouchers that I knew were Mo's because I was the one who served her. One of the other team leaders, Paul, knew fine and well it was Jay and tried to tell M.O. and Travis that I was being set up, but she was the golden girl and could do no wrong, while my name was mud as far as they were concerned. Heck, they thought Jay had caught me in the act. This meant war. Over the next few months I got really friendly with Jay, rooting outrageously with her and basically pretending like I really respected her and that we were good buddies. It took me a while to work my way into her trust, but once I was there I knew I could catch her stealing and prove it. We wasted off a load of Christmas chocolate products that hadn't sold, and I put them in a bag to be put in the bin. Jay said we should take them home, against company policy and seen as stealing, because they were just going to waste otherwise. We were stood underneath a camera, just outside of its range, so I said I don't want any, but if you want them you can have them, and put them on a trolley just inside of the camera's range. I had studied the camera angles in great detail, preparing for a moment exactly like this. I saw her look at the camera, down at the trolley and back to the camera before walking off to get her stuff. I warned my colleagues not to take any of the chocolate even if offered, and had an evil grin on my face which my colleagues commented on. When Jay came down she nonchalantly picked up the bag as if it was her shopping, offered chocolate to everyone and walked out the door with it. Gotcha. The next morning I arrived for my shift and put on the most somber face possible as I approached Travis. You should check the cameras on the back door at approximately 22:21. I think you'll find what you see very interesting." He asked me to explain further, and I looked over towards where Jay was, not even 5 meters away, and looked back. "I can't go into further detail right now, but I would strongly suggest you go and look at the cameras for that time now." Travis begrudgingly walked off to do just that, and within 10 minutes Jay was called into the office and her bag was searched. Within the hour she was suspended pending investigation, and within the week she was fired and barred from the store. I got a full apology from the managers who didn't believe me, who explained they genuinely believed it was me, and had no idea Jay could have possibly been a thief. Their jaws hit the floor after I explained that every member of staff knew she was a thief, but that we didn't feel like we could do anything about it. After going around asking people if this was true, I got another apology. 6 months later, I was offered training to become a team leader myself. I took it but ended up quitting for a white-collar role in a different company before I finished my training. Thanks for watching.